Welcome to another Demarcation Media Mega Construx review. We have before us the Probuilder Viking Longship Raid. Now, I'm really excited to look at this because this is the first Probuilder line set that I've gotten. And if you don't know what Probuilder line is, it was kind of Mega's own product line. They kind of did their own thing with it. There was like unlicensed stuff like this, or there was, I think, a Western train and like a Coast Guard helicopter, that kind of thing. It was just their own place to kind of make whatever they wanted, free of licenses. And for some odd reason, they just kind of let it drop, which is pretty disappointing. So today we're going to be looking at the Viking boat because I really love medieval fantasy type stuff, and this is perfect for that. So real quick, there's the box. The Probuilder kind of design is very clean, just Mega's colors. We can see the Viking ship in a storm. This is a very big box. Some of the characters around the side. There's the back. There's another one of the Probuilder sets. It's like a little Mars rover or something. You get to see just some of the features of the set. And again, it is CG, which makes it look weird. So that's about it for the box. I don't know if there was much else to note here. It's pretty standard for a box. It's just quite large. All right, you may have noticed that the box was already opened. That was because this set came when I had a bad cold. So I was trying to build it, but I couldn't film at all because I couldn't even speak. So we're going to take a look at the instructions real quick. You get two. Now, the thing I wanted to note about the instructions is when you open it up, it just launches right into the build, and it never tells you to build the figures. At the end here, it shows you how to put them together, but there's no real guide on like what armor to put on which guy and what weapons go where and all that. So I guess that's kind of Mega's way of letting you do your own thing with it, but also on the box and on the art here, there's very clearly a kind of a theme with all of the figures, and certain parts go to certain figures. So I don't know, I found that weird and kind of confusing, and I had to keep referencing the box to make sure I was putting the figures together right. So that was a little strange. All right, there is the Viking boat itself, all put together with all the figures, and here are the extras. Pretty standard extras, I guess, although having a large piece like this kind of confused me, but nothing too out of the ordinary. So before we look at the figures, I wanted to say I've read a bunch of reviews on this set, on Amazon in particular, and kind of a theme that I saw through all of them was people were saying how hard this was to build and how they bought it for their kids and their kids were so confused, so they got their brother who was an engineer and it took him hours to put together and it's so difficult. So I was kind of like, is this really that hard? Like, did Mega do something weird with this set? And really, no, they didn't. Like, the biggest issue with building the set is the fact that there is no numbered bags. Other than that, that's it. It's a pretty, I mean, it's a fun build. It's complicated, but if you've built something like the Cabal Harvester or the Halo Infinite Pelican, this is not going to be something super out of the ordinary and difficult for you. So, starting off the figures, we have this bald dude here. And if you've seen Jangbrick's review of this set, he mentions that at some point on the Mega website, they had descriptions for all of the figures and like what their crew position was, but I only remember a couple of them. And I do not remember what this guy's position was. He looks pretty important, but I can't quite remember. So he's wielding 2 axes right now. Obviously, you can switch the weapons around. Or if you wanted to, you could make a double-bladed axe. That's pretty cool. He's got this kind of a vest going on. Rubbery kind of tails to his vest or coat or whatever it is. He's got a sleeve on this side, but no sleeve on this side, and some really cool tattoos. I'm a fan of kind of the asymmetrical design, so I really like that. And then he's got, I don't know, they're like boots, but they're kind of, looks like wrapped cloth. Just black pants. His head is done pretty well. The eyes are just kind of pinholes, which can look a little strange sometimes, but overall it's pretty good. It doesn't even look too shiny, like it's a little toyish, but not bad. So my only complaint with this guy is that I'm seeing some stress marks showing up on this hand, and I'm not sure if that's just because of the color of the plastic will show it more, or if it's going to break at some point. I haven't really heard anything about the Vikings' hands breaking, but I don't know. It's kind of a little strange and makes me a little wary. Next guy is, I don't know, he looks more like just a soldier to me, just like a normal Viking, if you can call any Viking normal. He's got kind of a sand blue and tan color scheme. He's got a helmet that can be removed. This is very well done. It's kind of speckled. Looks like maybe it's been worn a lot. His head is the same mold as the first figure, but this time he has a very bright orange beard. He is wielding a spear, which is actually 2 pieces, a bar and then a spearhead. So you can make like a double head spear and go wild with that kind of thing. On the back, again, rubbery kind of coattail things. This guy doesn't really have any quality control issues that I can tell. Although something I've noticed with all of the figures actually is that let me actually go ahead and do it. When you take off the vest, one arm kind of looks like it's sticking further out of the socket than the other. And I thought, oh no, this is defect, because that's happened with Halo figures for me before, and the hand, I mean, the arm just falls out. But no, it's just kind of like that, and I don't understand why. It's just, they molded it weird. So it's not really a quality control issue as far as I can tell. And then the head has stuck on some of the figures a little too hard, and I had to do some sanding. But this guy has no stress marks on his hands at all. At least not yet. This guy right here is basically just a color swap of the figure from before. He has a helmet just like the other guy. His head is the same, but this time he has kind of a blonde beard. Pretty cool. His vest has this kind of patch of tan on this shoulder. Again, like I said, I really like the asymmetrical design. Got a black kind of coat thing, red shirt underneath, and a spear. I really like these spears. They look really good. And the silver is just a molded color, but it's really shiny. Now, this guy is one of the ones that I actually remember what Mega called him. They called him a journeyman. Not sure exactly what that means, but it sounds pretty cool. And this guy has a removable helmet, but he has a different head this time. Got kind of a shorter beard. I really like that, actually. This time he has 2 kind of tan little pauldrons there, and his upper arms are molded in this chainmail, which I find really cool. Like, I like that a lot. Then he's got a kind of accent color of blue. Again, the rubbery coattails. Pop his helmet back on. And then he comes with a sword. Tan handle to look like leather wrapped, and then a very shiny blade. That's a very good looking figure. And then we've got this dude, which I feel like I remember this guy being like the second hand guy on the ship, but I can't quite remember. And he's got a lot of different stuff going on. He has this mail coat. It's got these kind of frills coming down. And then there's a belt, which was previously used in the Assassin's Creed line, which actually was a pain in the butt to get on over top of the coat. You can put it on underneath if you want, but the box showed it going over top. So I put it over top, and it was hard to get on there. Like, I would recommend you put it on underneath, unless you just feel like fiddling with it. He has a sword identical to the one that we just saw. And then his head, which is the same as a bunch of the other figures, has a tattoo on one side and a removable mohawk, which is pretty cool. And I don't know if we've seen that piece since this set. I really like the wash kind of that's over the whole male coat, because underneath you can see it's just bright silver. So that's really good. I like that. And this guy is one of those that had more of a sticky head, didn't want to move as much. But other than that, quality is pretty good. Again, there is that same issue of one arm looking like it's molded further out from the torso, but it doesn't seem to be affecting his use. And last but not least, we have what Mega's site called the skipper of the ship, which is incorrect. It would be the Skrull, I believe. But yes, it is a girl, and she is apparently the one who captains this longship. She looks pretty cool. Like, I didn't expect to like this figure very much, but Mega did a good job. She uses the same hands as the Halo figures, whereas the other, the bigger Vikings kind of have the Call of Duty hands, which is interesting that we have both in one set. Then she's got this cape, which is kind of rubbery, with this really cool crest. For that. It's got some scratch marks on it, so I'm not sure if that's like purposeful or a mess up. Then she's got a quiver, which is also rubbery. It's got a spot to slide a sword into. Got 2 arrows in there that you can remove. They can kind of get a little bent in there, but you can fit 2 in there. You can actually fit 3, but it's kind of a pain. Her skirt is a rubbery piece. She has different boots than the other Vikings. And then her head is done actually very well. My only complaint is that there's some of the paint up here did not go all the way down, so her hair still is a flesh color, which is weird. But she's got those really cool tattoos. I really like that. And then her main weapon is this bow, and I've been really looking forward to getting a Mega Construx bow, because it's like actually a bow. Lego's bows are just pre-molded pieces. You can't do much with them other than pose them. But look, you can actually pull back the string of this. How cool is that? So you can pose figures just kind of holding them neutral or holding it pulled back. Basically whatever you want. So I really like that. That's super, super cool. Every figure comes with one of these stands, which is what the Call of Duty line uses for stands. And then, in case you are curious, that's what a Halo figure looks like next to them. So they are really not any taller than Halo figures, even though they use some Call of Duty parts. Now we're on to the Viking ship itself. And I'm just going to give it a quick spin, just so you can see the whole thing. Kind of start to form your own opinions on it before I start talking about it. So the first thing I want to say is it's actually a little smaller than I was expecting. Based on the size of the box, I was expecting something, I don't know, a couple sections bigger. But it's a pretty decent size. I think it's even close to being accurate. Then for comparison, let's go ahead and drop in a Warthog. You can see it's about 2 and 2/3 of Warthogs long. So it's a respectable size. We have shields lining both sides, and none of them are the same. Like, every single one is different. Sometimes they'll share the same design, but they'll be different colors. Look at that. This one actually matches the crest on the Skrull's cape. So I think that's her shield. So we've got this one and this one, which kind of have more specialized designs. Then on this side, we've got this one that's more specialized. And then the rest of them are different, like swirls, and they've got wood pattern over it, which I find really, really neat. That's really cool. And then we have oars. There's a lot of oars. There's 6 per side. And there's the little oar locks that you can stick it through. And it can kind of sit like so. Just slide them all in there. And there's nothing that really keeps them in place other than this right here. This piece kind of catches when you stick it through. So you can have them kind of in place. Or you can keep them up on the side when you're not using them, like you saw right there. So I'm going to go ahead and set the oars aside for now so they're not getting in the way. That's a lot of oars. And then let's take a look at this figurehead. This figurehead has printed pieces on this side and this side, and then it's doubled around the other side. It's got a flag for the tongue, which the mouth can be opened a little bit more or shut a little bit more. These pieces here are printed on the kind of the keel, and then around the back there's more of those printed pieces, and the front and the back are actually doubled, like it's the same construction. You just do the head here and the tail here, which is pretty interesting. And then look at that, it's completely smooth on the bottom. That's so cool. I love how Mega has pieces that you can build in literally any direction. Got some nice angles. Look at that. It kind of goes from straight to angled to straight. We have a rudder on this side that can be moved around. Very cool. Now, the most difficult part of the construction of this ship was the rigging. Tying all those little knots was a pain. And they didn't give you exactly lengthed strings, so you have excess, so you can kind of trim it if you want, which is interesting. And dealing with this cloth was kind of hard. You can see there's like this tent section, and the cloth just kind of wants to bunch and do its own thing. So getting it to sit nicely like a tent was a bit of a job. And even still, it doesn't sit quite right. And it's made that you can roll it up, so you can just have the frame so it's a little more open. And you can also raise and lower the sails if you want to. So that's an option, raising and lowering the sails, but I am not going to do it because that requires you to slip off some of these knots here and raise and lower stuff and roll stuff up. These rubber bands here are for when you roll this up, you can kind of put it into a bundle. But I'm not going to do that because dealing with these strings is a pain. Dealing with the cloth is a pain. So it looks pretty good how it is right now, so I'm just going to leave it. I may eventually try fiddling with it, but I really don't feel like doing that right now. Inside, we have some of these crate pieces, which I had never seen before. Like, I don't even know if they come in any other sets, and they're rubber, which is kind of strange, but you can fit them on there. There's a crate here, nothing in it right now. That's for loot, I guess. And then there's a crate here and another rubber crate here. Then there's spots for all of your crew members to sit, to row, which it's actually pretty hard to pose them up in there because like getting your fingers in there to make them sit is hard. And since they have the rubbery skirt things, it can get in the way. But, whoa, I'm throwing the figure. Let me go ahead and stick a guy on the deck. Like so. That's how he looks. Pretty good. It is a little hard, like I said, to pose figures on the deck, but it just takes some work. That's pretty cool. I'm impressed with this. I'm very impressed. Well, there you have it. That is the Mega Construx Probuilder Viking Longship raid. So, what's the final verdict on this set? The first thing I want to say is you can definitely tell this is an older Mega set. The quality isn't bad, it's just some pieces are harder to put together. The figures, some of the pieces were a little strange putting them together. Like I said, there was that weird molding issue where the arms on one side seemed to push out a little further. There was a stress mark on this guy's hand. So it's not bad quality, but you can just tell that it's not quite up to the same standards as today's Mega sets. And then there's the price. So I was able to get this for $68, which to me, that is a great price. Definitely worth this. Retail price is $80. $80 feels a little steep to me. And then, of course, you have markups for aftermarket sellers and all that. Though this set hasn't actually gotten scalped too badly. So, if you are looking for something different, you want something different than Halo or Call of Duty, if you're a medieval fantasy kind of fan like myself, this is definitely a set you want to look into getting because there's a lot of potential. Like I said, the build of the boat was difficult, not overly difficult. The main bit was all this cloth, which the cloth is super cool. It's just kind of hard to deal with. And, you know, if you didn't like the boat itself, you could always build yourself some sort of little Viking camp with these pieces or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of potential here. So I definitely think it's a good set. It's very solid all around, but it's a little more of a pointed audience. Like you have to like what you're buying because the price is pretty high for what you get. So I can definitely recommend it if you like this kind of stuff. If you're not really sure, maybe pass on it. You know, if you want to start building an army of Vikings, well, maybe you want to get yourself more than one. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.